honest and forthcoming about what the fuck you want. You know? Does that make sense?
So what we're gonna do is this is how we're gonna make some sense, because this is where we're gonna play the Q&A. This is Roy versus Miss Monroe on the Mitchell Port Unleashed podcast. Y'all ready for this one? So my top 3 reasons why women put men in the friend zone, and I'm gonna say the question and the statement,
Okay.
and you're gonna follow up with your own rebuttal, and then I may rebuttal. So first one, you don't meet her requirements. That's the reason why she puts you in the friend zone. What does that mean for you?
I agree.
Elaborate.
Okay. Requirements meaning whatever standards I have, and that can be surface or undersurface, right? You might be too short for me. For me, I'm 5'7". I like them a little bit taller because I'm 5'11" when I have heels on, right? So I like them tall. You know, there is a level of establishment I require a man to be with me, right? You can match me. It needs to be of equal value. If I notice that that's not where you're at, and we're on the same page about what it is that we want in life, but you're a good person, I'm a friend zone you because I want you around, but you can't be my man, you know? And then it just, there's a couple other reasons too that I'm just kind of like, but I like you as a person. Friend zone.
Okay.
You're not meeting the requirements.
So majority of women, so I'll clear it up here. Majority of women want a guy that's tall, because the average size of a woman is what, 5'6", 5'7", average, 5'5", depending. You know what I mean?
I think most women are between 5'2" and 5'3" on average.
Well, it's not our fault that you guys fall below the height requirements. It's how life happens, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's fine. You can be 5'2". Some people can be 5'8". Some people can be 6'4".
Yeah,
It is what it is.
A lot of women don't want short men, and they be short themselves.
And some tall dudes like myself don't like short women because, you know, the lower back, you got to compress the lower back. We got to reach down to hug you and stuff. You know what I mean? I know my tall brothers can relate to that, you know?
When my heels are on, I'm the shortest is 5'11". I like to be 4 inches heels or higher.
So you're playing in WNBA now, okay, with heels on. I like that. So I get that, requirements, but I feel like there's some superficial requirements that women put out there.
I think that's for both parties.
Yes, but we're focusing on, this is, you know, males versus females here.
Okay.
When I look at some of the requirements, when I say superficial, it could be how much money you make, right? Because there's some money, there's some women that are into that position. How much money you make, right? What kind of car you drive. I come from a perspective as this. What happens if you live in a big free-flowing city and you don't drive because everything is so accessible? You see what I'm saying? Maybe you live in New York. Maybe you live in Toronto. I know a lot of people live in Toronto to this day that do not drive. And some women are like, well, if you don't have a car, like, how are we going to get around? Well, you live in a big city for crying out loud. You know what I mean? What are you supposed to do? Like, am I supposed to get a car rental? Now, if we're going somewhere, there's a car rental. But I don't think, depending on the circumstance, a car makes or breaks you. Living conditions, possibly so. Right? Yeah. But this is where I say about the superficialness that a lot of people still have channeled in their mind.
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
I'm going to say this, when in Rome. Okay. So I do understand I live in Los Angeles, California. You need a car here. You know what I mean? But there's trains and buses and all that jazz, but you basically need a car here. But when in Rome, if you're in New York, I dated someone, he didn't have a car. We Ubered everywhere. Right. But he lived in Manhattan. He took the subway, or he took a taxi, or he took an Uber, right? That doesn't necessarily matter to me. Finances. When it comes to finances, I will say this. I make a certain amount of money. I make more than most, right? And so my man doesn't necessarily have to make 10 times as much as I do, even if he makes less, right? We need to have a conversation about what the requirements are, what I expect. I have everything that I need to be able to provide for me and take care of me. I have a lifestyle, right? So when you come into my life, you will see my lifestyle and how I live, how I spend on myself, how I manage my money, how I go on vacations, so on and so forth. You need to say, and this where maturity comes in, can I keep up with what she does for herself? Can I provide for her what she provides for herself. If I'm going to gift her, you know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with a thoughtful gift that doesn't cost a lot of money, but you need to find out how I like to treat myself. I love me, and how I treat me is a way of showing me how I love me. So if you're going to be with me, the love and the spending doesn't necessarily need to be identical, but it does need to be of equal value. Does that make sense? So when it comes to your finances, I'm cool. I can eat at a mom and pop. I can eat a pizza, right? But I don't want to do it every day. I don't want to go see a $5 movie every day. When I want to go on a trip, I want to go somewhere nice. I fly first class all the time. I don't fly coach. That is what it is. So if you take me out and we fly somewhere, you better be able to afford a first class ticket. If that's what you're doing, because that's what I'm used to. And I'm not going to take a couple steps down just to please your ego, because you can't. That's when you need to either say, you know what, let me, step my game up a little bit before I approach her, because I'm not going to come to her and require her to accept less. Does that make sense? But if he's
perfect
cool,
sense.
I would be like, let me friend zone you. You buy your ticket out and we can go hang out. You know what I'm saying? You can't be my man because you don't meet the financial requirements. And it's not a horrible thing, because when you get into a relationship, a lot of times money plays a really big part. Finances is a conversation that needs to be had. What's important? What's not that important? What's a big deal? What does a provider look like for you? Let's establish what our relationship is going to look like for us. How do we want to experience our relationship together? Not nobody else, but for us. And if I'm honest and I tell you what I need, what I want, and the things that, matter to me, we talked about this last time, you either could do it or not. No harm, no foul. Let's go get in the friend zone and be okay with that.
Okay. That sums up for don't meet requirements.
Reason number 2. Give me a reason number 2 why you think.
I don't know if they're ready for number 2, man. I don't know.
Other than the physical attraction, right? The finances, right? What do you think could be another reason?
Oh, I don't think they're ready for number 2. I'm telling you. I'm going to say it though. Wake it up. Let's go.
Give it to me.
Let's go.
Sex ain't good?
You don't initiate intimacy because you fear rejection. What does that mean for you? You don't initiate intimacy because you fear rejection. And now this is where it's a double-edged sword, because some men are cautious because of what's going on in today's nature, right? They don't maybe want to go for that kiss. Yeah, a hug's a hug. Anybody can hug anybody. We're hugging people at funerals. We're hugging people when we see them in our social gathering groups. Heck, we hug people in our workplace, depending on if they're leaving the workplace. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You build a bond with somebody.
Yeah.
But I feel like that level of intimacy now is having men kind of fearful of not only rejection, but if I go to approach and I maybe go to kiss her, that can come across a little weird. You know what I mean? Or if you're wanting to set it up and you're wanting to have maybe bring her back to her place, or to your place, or however you want to do it.
Yeah.
A lot of men don't want to do that. And I think a lot of women now are like, oh, I put you in the friend zone. Because you're a woman, you can speak on it. Women want it just as much as men, no?
I agree, but you need to be able to really understand who you're dating, understand who you're talking to, right? For me, right, through conversation, you'll find out I'm a sapiosexual. I am mentally stimulated. That is the way that is going to get me going. Something that can arouse me and turn me on is being read to. If you open up a good book, right, a book that, I can learn from or teach me something, and you read it to me, or you teach me something new that I don't know, I will be completely turned on by that. Like completely turned on by that. And that is your green light. You might be able to go ahead and, steal a kiss from me. That's damn near an invitation, right? But at the club, which if you're trying to invite me to the club, which is not my scene, right, and think that that's what it's going to be to get me off, and you're just going to steal a kiss at a club, you might get rejection. You might get a little rejection. But men need to take their time and do the work, right? Be intuitive, pay attention, ask questions, and then insert action. You'll know. Women give signs. Women give it off. Women do like the little light touch, the little laugh, the lean in a little bit, like whatever they do. We have ways of showing you, all right, the light is green. What you gonna do? But if you do nothing, then it's like, look, I done gave you the green light. You ain't picking up the signs. You ain't interested. Friend zone.
See, I'm gonna put people on the game here.
I'll put you in the friend zone.
Yeah,
and
so
my thing is, if you're too aggressive with it,
mm-hmm.
That's a turn off. You need to be able to be. Men know how to be smooth. Come on now.
So here's, you said talk about green light. I'm gonna put a green light on something here. So
Okay.
I'm coming from a different perspective here.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes initiating intimacy can also be a downfall, and a downfall from this perspective, where maybe you initiate with her, and depending on where she's at in her mindset, she could look at it as, oh, he's just qualified that he's liked me. So now I just withdraw all my attention, because I've seen that happen.
You said he's disqualified for, say it again?
He's disqualified because he showed too much intention up front. So what she'll do, because some women like to play the little mindset games, oh, he kissed me. Oh, guess what? He's already proved that he likes me. So if he's proved that he's liked me, I don't have to work for that. Because there's some women that are out there like that. They play on men's emotions. Oh, let's see how much he likes me. Oh, he could probably sleep with me tonight. Okay, he sleeps with me, and then they just withdraw all their information. They withdraw all of their intention. I've seen it happen. I'm a grown man. I can speak on that level. I can say I've been out majority of times. I'll be honest, depending on how you hit it off. And y'all kiss. She then goes ghost. Why? Now, I'm not butthurt about that because I get the game. I get to play.
Mm-hmm.
I maybe showed too much, too quick in the early stages back in the day. So now she sees it in a perspective of, oh, he likes me. I don't have to work for anything now. Because really, at the end of the day, we know this. I'm going to say this. Men are the prize, not women. Men are the prize.
You think men are the prize?
Men are the prize. 100%
Okay.
Men are the prize.
Okay.
Because we provide a thing called leadership, and you guys have to provision peace. Back to you, Miss Monroe.
Wow. Let me address the first one. Number one, the kiss in the game, right? Two things. You could have been a bad kisser, and she didn't know how to tell you.
Okay.
And so she decided to go ghost. And I don't condone that behavior. Let me just say this. I don't condone that behavior because I'm a big fan of communication, and I'm secure within myself, right? And I feel like there's a way that I can give you gentle critique, right? And I can let you go, and I can release you with love, and I can reject you gently with kindness. I can just say, you know what? I didn't like that. That's not how I like to be kissed. That's not how. Or there's a suggestive ways if you had your, tongue all down my throat in a way that I didn't like, or your breath was stinky. Like, there's a way to be able to tell somebody something like that. The maturity level, right, is the big factor there. Am I honest? Am I forthcoming? Do I want to see him again? Do I even want to let him try again? That's the thing. Were you so turned off by the bad kiss that you don't even want him to try again, right? Then you just tell him, you know what? This isn't working out for me. This is not what I wanted. I don't think that we have the chemistry I thought we were going to have. And if he wants to know why, tell him why. Be honest, because then he can learn and go do it better with someone else. Now, the whole leadership, men are the prize.
Yeah. Wake it up. Go ahead. No, let's go.
Men are the prize.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say that a man is not the prize. I'm not. But I'm also not going to say that women are not the prize either. I think women still like to be pursued, and that's okay. I think there's a little bit of the kind of cat and mouse chase, right? But we grew up learning that men chase women. I like to be pursued, right? I give the green light. I want you to come for me. And I want to see if you're going to be consistent with the actions, right? But that same thing, I'm going to pursue you as well. So I think it really depends on the type of woman you have. You have all these men who want high value women and women who want high value men. It's like, well, let me see it in your action. Let me see what you got. Let me see what kind of value you have to offer. And then let me show you what I have to offer and match your value of equal quality, you know, or even more. I can exceed your expectations, and that'll really rile her up. Listen, you want to get a woman excited and take her out at the friend zone, exceed those expectations.
So
It's your mindset.
you said something that I like, that I really agree with, is because you're socially aware, right? You're socially aware with how you're talking. So I know a lot of people hear men are the prize and they go to the defense. But at the end of the day, if you leave it for women to go pick the best mate, 9 times out of 10, you guys don't pick the right person, right? So that's why you end up with so much flaws. You end up with so much of this, so much of that. The difference between men is we know what men can bring to the table. You know a man that's qualified for you. Hey, listen, what can I learn from him, right? Because it's just how it is. You can go traditional views in this and say Adam and Eve, the Garden of Eden. You know how that story started and how it ended, right? So people just need to do their facts.
Let me tell you.
I feel like you got something to say, so go ahead.
Let me tell
I'm
you
ready.
about this story. I'm going to say this because I always say it's important to understand who you are and the story that you want to create for your life. I understand the story of Adam and Eve. I think both people are the prize, you know, because I think whatever a man brings to a woman, she can multiply. And I think if you are a great man and you have something to offer, you are a winner. And I think good men are hard to find, but I also think good women are hard to find. So when you find one another, right, that's a win on both parts and it's worth celebration. If you are looking for a good woman, then you need to have requirements as well as a man. You need to have standards, you need to have expectations, and you need to be able to identify what it is that you want from a woman, the qualities. And a lot of times, unfortunately, right, I'm not saying that women don't do it, but I'm talking about men. Men will pay more attention to the surface of a woman versus, you know, the core of a woman and the value of a woman. And like I said the last time, it is the woman's mindset and her values which is going to raise your kids, manage your money, and help you run your household, not her physical appearance. Her physical appearance is what's going to make you look good to other people on the outside world. But to another man of high quality and high value, if he recognizes she's just a beautiful shell and there's no true gift inside of that package other than beautiful wrapping paper, he's not even going to want what you have. So it's, do you understand what I'm saying?
But I gotta quote one of my guys real quick, Freddie Roosevelt, that simply sat here and said on Clubhouse, a lot of these men like the android look, right? All of these different cosmetic surgeries, so it's like very android-like. You know what I mean? Me personally, it's like you gotta have something that's natural. So I love that clip there. Like men miss it. Men miss it because the thing is some of these men are into the superficial stuff. And if that's what you want, go right ahead. But I'm telling you, 40, 50, 60 years down the road, that's going to be malfunctioning. It's out here looking like a whole android. So shout out to Freddie Roosevelt for saying that, android look. We don't do no androids over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I say the thing. I say that my appearance is the icing on the cake. It's the cherry on top. You know what I'm saying? Me being able to run my own business, multiple and globally, that's a win for you, because if I can manage my business as well and manage my money well, that means that whatever you bring to me, not only can I manage, I can multiply it as well. I can cook, I can clean my own house. You know what I mean? I'm mentally, emotionally stable, available, and mature, right? There are a lot of different qualities about me. I see kindness. I understand forgiveness. I'm compassionate. I'm empathetic. I can communicate, right? And there's a way that I carry myself. So there's a lot about men choosing only the shell of a woman. That says a lot about what you feel you are worth and what you feel you deserve. And that's another reason why I think if you have a woman that's beautiful, right, depending on what she can bring you, it's okay for men to friend zone women as well. I know a lot of guys that have done that. You know, she's great, but I can't bring her home to my mama. But she's cool, so I'm going to be friends with her. But she's not somebody I'd spend my life with. So men do it, and women do it as well. But there needs to come a time when you get to a certain age, you got to want more for yourself, and it has to be beneath the surface. You have to say, I'm too old for this. I want something real. I want something with depth. I want a woman with character. You know what I mean? I want a woman that is, you know, strong-willed, but soft enough to where, you know, she's gentle and she can be led, and she can, you know, and I'm a great leader. And I want her to be able to feel safe enough to trust me to do what I say I'm going to do, right? It is the consistent action that confirms your love for me. Mm-hmm. And if I can be with you long term.
Yeah. And to close that part about when I say men are the prize, women need to look at the reflection of the men that they have in their life, especially their dad, right? Because you got to remember, if you're out here and you're going to get married to that man, your dad is the one who walks you down the aisle to pass you off to that next man. That means if he instilled leadership inside of you, he's just passing you off. I know that sounds like it's kind of stuff, well, you passing me off. Like, what is it? It's not groceries. No, he's passing you off and positioning you to position you into the male that's going to be able to take you to basically the life that you are required to live. And that's the thing that a lot of women don't do. Just to close up the last part, is they don't look at the men that they grow up around, to be dad, brothers, uncles, and then want to simply sit here and settle for Dunkaroos or half-eaten Oreos. And that's just how life is.
It depends, right? And my own personal experience. My biological father was not in my life. My grandfather, right? My abuelo, as close as he was to me as a adult Cuban man here in the States, back in the day, he had a whole nother, you know, side family. He was a wonderful person, but he had a side family. And I had to realize on my own the characteristics that I wanted as a man. I had to figure out, okay, I don't want those from my dad. My brother has some really good, you know, qualities and characteristics, but I need to figure out and be able to write that down. What are good qualities and character traits that I'm looking for in a male? And I may not have, you know, my biological father to walk me down the aisle and hand me over to another man, right? My godfather will do that. And there are qualities of my godfather that I love. The fact that, you know, he owns a bunch of real estate. You know, he has his stuff together, and he doesn't allow my mother to work. She don't even look at a bill. She won't know anything, right? Because he believes in being like a sole provider, right? So there are some characteristics there that I like and that I would want. But for me as an adult, it's up to me to say, these are the things that I want. This is what I'm looking for in a man. I deserve what I'm asking for. I am worthy of what I'm asking for. And I can match it. And here's how. So I'm not just asking for a great man so that I can have one. I'm trying to find a great man to match the great woman that I am.
I love that you say that. The last one. I got to get my phone out for this one. The position of what some of these men are doing and trying too hard on text and being clingy. Where are you? How you been today? Every single minute of the day. And I've talking to people, coworkers of mine, women in past, women in presence, that says there's a level of clinginess when it comes to men right now, especially if you're, you know, talking to girls on Instagram or you get this girl's number or you're on a dating app. These guys don't know how to open and close their conversations, right? I say is this piece of device here, early stages, I'm speaking on early stages, is about using it to simply position what it is you want. What that means is, yes, you can create a little bit of an entry conversation, but to be on the phone constantly every single minute of every single day and not allowing her room to breathe is going to hinder who you are in the early stages. Because she's going to look at you and she's going to say, this guy's a sucker. You're a bona fide simp. You bona fide liquid personality, and you keep texting me. And like, why? Like, give me time and space to breathe, because we already know what happens in the relationship. If it means that your girlfriend at the time, and you have labels, she's going to be the one who's messaging you, and you guys are probably going to have full out conversation, because she's probably going to talk about her day, probably talk about her dog, probably talk about her family, probably talk about her brother, probably talk about her sister, probably talk about the boss that's bothering her, or how her coffee wasn't stirred correctly at Starbucks or something like that. Yeah. That's where you're going to see the engaging of the conversations. But early stages, men, give that space, right? Also, too, if you don't see her giving you anything, like she's not being reciprocating to the energy, or you're asking her questions to get to know her in the early stages, and she doesn't want to participate, sorry, you got to take the participation trophy and you got to send it away. You got to let her be like, listen, figure it out, because you're not the one that looks like the one to have two-way conversation. And that's the reason why I say is I love spaces like this, because this here is a two-way conversation, right? And two-way conversations is what makes the world a better place. You see what I'm saying? And if more people do two-way conversations in the early stages, you get through all that fluff. Hey, back to you, Miss Monroe. Close us out for us.
I'm going to say this. For a relationship to work well, a healthy relationship to work well, two individual people need to have their own lives. You need to have your own habits. You need to have your own hobbies. You need to have your own friends, right? And things that you enjoy. And it's okay if you have someone who likes conversations. If you have a conversationalist, that's great, because they're going to want to talk. If they have time to talk, that's why I say it's important to know who you're dating. And you take the life that you have and you introduce it to the world of somebody else who doesn't know it, right? That's healthy dialogue. The best way to get to know somebody is to have that healthy dialogue. Clingy, it really depends on the person that you're with. I don't mind in the beginning stage to do a lot of talking, because that's the best way to get to know me, to talk. I'm going to tell you a lot, so you learn a lot about me. However, you will establish, some boundaries there where I can't talk between these hours and these times or on these days because I'm working, or I have, some things that I'm doing in my own private life. But if you have somebody who doesn't like to be spoken to in that way, then don't do it, because you are loving them in a way, or trying to love them in a way, that they don't receive it. And it's unhealthy, and you're going to spoof them or scare them away. That's not what they want. So find somebody who likes what you like, wants what you want, and is okay to love in the way that you know how to love. And if that's, being talkative, then that's being talkative, and have your own life. And there are too many times that grown people look for another person to fill voids in their life, or be the things, that they can't be for themselves. And that's draining and exhausting. And it puts too much pressure on the other person to show up and perform. And you don't want a performative relationship. That's it for me. That's how I'm going to wrap it.
Performative relationship. Steph Curry, fourth quarter, night, put it to bed.